Intel recently announced a new strategy called IDM 2.0, and reportedly it's part of the scheme to work with IBM on advanced logic and packaging. In your opinion, what kind of packaging technology that IBM has to offer?
IBM has sold off its semiconductor manufacturing business, but it hasn't stopped doing research and development. And so it's for a number of years been working on advanced design, 7 nanometer technology, for example, three-dimensional design technology for chips. I don't know specifically what packaging technologies they would have, but it's clearly in this area of 7 nanometer technology. As I said, multi-dimensional or three-dimensional layering of chips to pack more transistors into a smaller space. My understanding is that Samsung is really the manufacturing partner.
Do you agree that IBM doesn't have the same clout in semiconductor industry as they used to?
Well, I would agree. They don't have the same clout or influence they used to have because they don't do manufacturing anymore. And the dominant chip designers these days are Intel and NVIDIA, for example. So that's true. But I think semiconductors today are a bit less important than they used to be in some ways. They're more ubiquitous, they're everywhere and going into all sorts of devices. So in that sense, they're very important, but it depends on what semiconductors you're making. Memory chips or chips for data storage, those are commodity chips. IBM doesn't have to manufacture those anymore. They can't make a profit at doing it. And in fact, manufacturing chips itself is not necessarily a high profit business. And so the whole industry has shifted to utilizing outside foundries like Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing, Micron Technologies. There are several companies, but it's become quite concentrated. There's still a lot of value in the design of the chips, particularly for microprocessors or logic chips. And again, IBM is not a leader in that anymore, but they still have some important technologies for their server business, high-end server and cloud computer server business. So as I've written about quite a bit, most of the value really shifts to the companies that control the platform, the instruction sets in the chips, or the software that launches applications and services. So that really has shifted away from microprocessors to the operating system, to the cloud computing environment. So whether it's Amazon Web Services or Microsoft Azure or the IBM hybrid cloud, there's still a lot of ways that companies can influence the platform without manufacturing the chips itself. And for IBM servers, at least my understanding is they still design most of their own chips. This goes back to the old PowerPC design, but they're power chips and that architecture. So they are still a player. They are a smaller player. They are working with the leading companies in designing new chips and new, again, we can call them packaging technologies, but that's essentially the way the chips are designed, and then they have to be manufacturing. So IBM still has influence, but as I'm saying, the most important part of the business is not the semiconductor manufacturing business anymore. It really is the broader platform architecture for cloud computing, certain applications, different services around the cloud. So IBM is trailing there also, but they have a niche which is reasonably good. It is growing,